All right, welcome back to the Mandalorian season 3 finale review. I am your host Anthony Salic. All right, so we got a lot to discuss about. Just wanted to be sure that we had everything ready. So, season finale, bit of a disappointment, but I think that it fits the themes of the Mandalorian. So, the episode pretty much picks up where we last left off. It was Bo-Katan and the Mandalorians trying to fight back against Moff Gideon and his crew. Din Djarin got captured. Grogu is now with him, and the whole thing is basically a fight back episode. So you have Bo-Katan leading all of the Mandalorians to try to fight them and try to defeat all of the Beskar troops. You have Din making his way around the actual base and trying to sneak in using the help of of R5. And then you have the Axe, one of the Mandalorians for Bo-Katan. You see him trying to lead the people to, or I'm sorry, he's trying to guide the people to safety from the big fleet ship, and then he has to take out a bunch of TIE fighters. So it really is a good, well-rounded episode. I do understand where a lot of people are coming from in terms of like, you know, the way that this episode is and the way that it sucks, kind of, but we're going to get to that in a little bit. In terms of action scenes, they did a really, really great job. The episode was written by Jon Favreau. Hey, that's a cool person. Jon Favreau is always, and of course, last week we ended off with Paz dying to 3 Plantorian guards, but this episode we definitely get to see them back. It was very, if I could just like describe the episode, very self-contained, very, it wasn't like, I feel like there was something in this finale that I didn't really get last time. The thing that I will say, it reminded me of season 1. When season 1 ended, it was just a shootout between Mando Din Djarin versus Moff Gideon's crew, and this was very similar. It was just a bunch more Mandalorians and a bunch more TIE fighters and Beskar troopers involved. So it was just, it felt like season 1's ending, but like on a bigger scale, because I think season 2 has a lot of people spoiled because of course that involved Luke Skywalker coming in, saving the day, taking Grogu, them leaving, and we just got a very self-contained ending. It was just them fighting back, them winning, and then them having a happy ending, at least for now. We actually do learn a little bit of things as well. We learned that Moff Gideon was actually in the process of creating clones for himself. So he's actually was making clones for himself, and it kind of explains his whole purpose and his whole reasoning for being a villain. In season 1, he wanted to capture Grogu because Grogu had the ability to use the Force. He wanted to extract some of that power from Grogu, whether it be through like the DNA process or something like that, and he wanted to apply it to his clones since he couldn't use the Force himself. So that explains why he was always after Grogu and why he was literally so close to creating clones. I'm talking, them clones were ready. They already had their eyes open. They were ready to be taken out, but Mando Din Djarin destroys all of them, so we don't get to see any of the clones in action, and it makes Moff Gideon really mad, and it forces those two to fight. We get an epic fight scene between the two. I absolutely love the action in this episode, whether it be Bo-Katan and the other Mandalorians fighting the Beskar troopers, or Din versus Moff, and would eventually be Din and Bo against Moff. The action was absolutely incredible. We actually get to see the return of the Plantorian guards, and we get to see Mando 1v3 them, kinda, because he also has Grogu with him as well. But again, the Plantorian guards are like super, super cool. I love their armor, and the fact that Din was able to take out all 3 of them, it just like it's insane. It's crazy. So it just shows that the Plantorian guards that we later see in The Last Jedi, those are new Plantorian guards because Din took out 3 of the previous ones. I just really, really enjoyed it. So moving on to the ending, we get the final battle between Moff and Bo, or we get Moff versus Bo and Din with Grogu, and they have like this epic sort of lightsaber duel, but it's only the dark saber versus one of Moff Gideon's. I don't even know what the weapon is called that he was using, but it was really, really cool. And it ends with Moff Gideon destroying the dark saber, which is like, he destroys it by crushing the handle. So I guess it makes that unusable. And it's just one of these things where it's like, well, there goes that dark saber. Hopefully they can repair it maybe by next season. But, it ends up on a good note. They are successfully able to destroy the base. And with that, they are able to burn Moff Gideon. And when it seems like our heroes are going to be burned in the explosion, Grogu actually uses the Force in order to create a force shield around the 3 in order to prevent the fires from burning them. So it's really, really cool. It shows that Grogu, although I think that his character wasn't really necessary this season, they do give him a lot of cool points or a cool amount of moments. Him with the IG unit, him with R5, him with going up against Plantorian guards. Like, Grogu isn't needed, but he definitely is wanted by a lot of people. And I really did enjoy his character during the season. Hopefully we get to see more later on next season if they do come back for it. So finally ends. The ending finishes with them finally reclaiming Mandalore. So Bo-Katan is able to finally reclaim all of it. Okay, so this is my second time redoing this ending because I literally was just in my computer like crashed and stuff, so I had to reset this whole thing. So what was I talking about? I was talking about they claim Mandalore. That's what I meant to say. So they finally reclaim Mandalore. Bo-Katan is now in charge of it. Moff Gideon is dead. The good guys have won, and we sort of end the journey with a couple of things. So I think I said that the Darksaber was destroyed. Moff Gideon destroyed it. Din ends up going back to Navarro, where he spends his time with Grogu. And they also recreated IG-11 to become the Navarro sheriff, which is pretty cool. And I think I'm missing... There was a Mythosaur that appeared. We saw a living Mythosaur, but it was only for like 2 seconds before it got cut off. And I think that was it. I mean, the ending, it just ends with Din Djarin and Grogu just living on a house. And we do get a little bit of tease because we saw Din go to the Rebel pilot. And he's like, hey, I like to be an independent contractor bounty hunter, where he gets to work whatever jobs they keep him employed. And another thing that I forgot to add, he finally adopts Grogu and makes him his apprentice. So, one of the things that I think the armorer tells Din is like, hey, you got to take Grogu out on some journeys now that he's your apprentice. You got to teach him. You got to show him the ways of a Mandalore. Like we haven't been doing that for the past 3 seasons. But overall, I mean, it was fine. They sort of end things where Din now has a home in Navarro, so if he ever wants to rest up. What did I think about this season? Or the finale? The finale was safe. I thought it was great. I thought that the action and everything, the stories, the dialogues, the Plantorian guards, Moff Gideon, I thought it was all fun. It was very action heavy this episode and less storytelling. It's a battle, reclaim Mandalore, good guys win, we get to go home and rest. And to to sort of cap things off, how did I feel about the entire season? So this is where things are going to get a little bit controversial. I think season 3 was good. It had way too much, not way too much, a good amount of unnecessary things. Like, for example, episode 3, which I believe was the filler episode that followed the spy, which obviously did have a direct connection to our heroes, but it was just like one of these things that took too long. And I know that a lot of people complained about episode 6, which was the episode that contained Jack Black and Lizzo. And I know that this season hasn't really had much stakes. It was just reclaiming Mandalore, and that was it. Do I think that it was bad? No. It had, it had that same energy, but it just didn't have like a big end game. I think that a lot of people are probably spoiled now with the way that season 2 ended. But if I'm being honest, this reminded me a lot of season 1. Because season 1, if you remember, was with Din going up against Grogu. Or, I'm sorry, Din going up against Moff Gideon, and then them supposedly killing him. And then it ends with the cliffhanger of Moff Gideon having the Darksaber. So it was pretty cool. But the thing about that is that when you look at season 2 had like pretty much one of the best Star Wars piece of content, that being the Luke Skywalker cameo / rescue. And so I think that people are going to be a little bit mad when it comes to just this. This is just a small victory. They reclaim Mandalore and that's it. And I think that people are going to be mad that it doesn't have some higher impact, or there's no tease for what's to come. But hopefully we get to see them more. I know that there's a lot of rumors going around about Pedro and whether or not he's going to be returning for season 4. I do think so. I think that there's maybe a couple more stories left. Maybe, if anything, 1 or 2 more seasons left of The Mandalorian before we officially can end it. But and then we also have the movie as well. They confirm that there's 3 new Star Wars movies, and one of them is going to be directed by Dave Filoni, and it's going to be essentially the Avengers equivalent of The Mandalorian. The Mandoverse is what they're calling it. So, yeah, I mean, I think they got 1 more season in this, maybe 2 more seasons, 3 if I'm being for real, if I'm being serious. And we're going to have the movie later on, so maybe we can expect a whole lot more of Din and Grogu. But I don't know. I thought it was great overall. If I could rate this episode, I would give it for action and story wise, I give it an 8. Solid. The season as a whole, it did have some moments where I wasn't really interested, but it did have some good moments. I'll give it a straight up 6.5. I think like a 66%. Like, it was 2/3 good and 1/3 bland. But yeah, I think that's going to be it. But yeah, without that, or with all that said and done, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is going to bring an end to the Mandalorian review. God, we've been reviewing this show for 8 episodes. I know I missed 1 and I merged 2 of them together, but it's been a fun 8 weeks, y'all. It's been really, really fun. I always love doing the reviews, and if anybody's watching it, or if anybody's listening right now, thank you guys so much for joining me along this amazing journey. I truly had a lot of fun. And yeah, hopefully we can see you guys. I don't know what the next series. I mean, they have Ahsoka for Star Wars, which is going to be in August. So I won't be back until August for Star Wars. But Marvel's coming out with some things. They got Secret Invasion in June. They have Guardians Volume 3 in May. And hopefully I can try to come up with some other types of contents for you guys. Maybe some Star Wars, Marvel related. Let me know in the comments down below. But that is it for Mandalorian Season 3. I hope you all enjoyed this review. If you guys did, please be sure to subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you all later. Peace.